Gamification. Is it just about games? Or is it just about points and badges? Is it just about fun? No, gamification can be so much more than this. But what exactly is gamification?
So gamification is when we empathize with people, look at what they're motivated and interested in, give them gameful, playful experiences for the benefit of the players and for the benefit of everyone else, like companies and customers and co-workers.
Well, officially, the formal definition, it's the use of game design elements in non-game contexts. But for me, it's like a new method of thinking or like considering applications, how to design a business application.
All the approaches in the past that we've done, even user experience design, look more at how can we make a task simpler and less complex and in a way that a user doesn't run into doing so many wrong things or has less way of making errors. Now with gamification we look, are they actually interested in doing that? Because if we can turn it into something that they're interested in, we learn that they are doing way more than they would do normally.
And we also shed more light into a direction like behavioral economics that are there for a long time, but which have been completely underestimated over the last years.
And what does gamification have to do with SAP?
A lot of work that we do and a lot of tasks that we do are rather repetitive and dull. So it becomes boring. They are not increasing in difficulty, they're not giving us challenges, or the other way around, they may be too difficult for our level of skills that we have. With gamification, we can tailor that much better. We can give them the right complexity, the right skill level that they are, and slowly growing with the increasing skills that employees have. Also by using a design element such as fantasy or themes or narrative that we put in that, suddenly a boring task that we do becomes interesting because we are playing for the souls of the pirates. So we're trying to close customer support tickets, and each ticket that we close brings a pirate ship forward closer to the treasure island, and then we all party pirate style. So gamification is not just about engaging employees and having fun and doing all these playful and gameful experiences. What gamification does is it creates a lot of data on the players. A game, in order to level you up, to reward you with points, needs to know what you have done and how well you have done it. So suddenly I build a competency profile. Think SAP expert finders. Instead of maintaining the data manually there and keeping it up to date, and nobody's actually doing that, you use a system and track data on yourself. Suddenly you know much better how well you're doing and how you can go. You don't need anyone telling you what your career could look like, because you see it in the system. You see how the other colleagues are doing and can support and help them if there's a need, because together we are winning and not as individuals. Also your manager can see that, and then there's no need for a performance review meeting, but it's more a coaching meeting that we have. What is the path that I should go? What is good for my competency and skills? There are a lot of people critical of gamification. It's a new thing, and always in new things people lie afraid. They don't know where it's leading. Also, they don't know how to use it properly or what opportunities there are. So, as an example, when the telegraph line was connecting New York and Texas the first time, the New Yorkers thought, well, we need only a telegraph that goes one direction, because what else can tell us the Texans that is interesting for us in New York? So at this moment, at this point, I didn't see the value in this telegraph line. And of course, this is something that we see also with gamification. Gamification, where's the value in that? But people will learn.
if you really want to consider gamification, first of all, start playing games. And if you don't really like playing games, or if you don't have the time to play games, then maybe you have kids who are playing games, and don't restrict them to play a video game or something, but maybe stand behind your son or your daughter and observe them while they are playing a game and ask them why do they like the game, what is their motivation to stay with the game and to continue playing the game, or if they skip a particular game, what were the reasons for skipping the game, and so on and so forth. And when you are analyzing actually this, you will all of a sudden observe a lot of very interesting effects with regards to human motivation, and then ultimately you can, this actually closes the loop, because if you understand it, then you can apply them also better to different contexts.
Did you know? Of all game players, only 1% is of the killer player type. About 10% are achievers, as well as explorers. But the huge majority is of the socializer player type. Who would have thought of that?
We live in a creative society where it is important to come up with new ideas and new business opportunities and how to serve a customer better. And a gameful approach can open your mindset. And a gameful approach makes you happier and lets you go this, what they call the extra mile. This especially good customer service, this especially good collaboration and happiness working with the other colleagues.
Can you give an example for gamification?
Oh, there are tons of examples in SAP, predominantly prototypes, like Hero of the Week, like SAP 2Go, like the Geo Aachen, a horse riding event that has been gamified using the SAP Gamification platform. Or even at TSG Hoffenheim, they are using productively physical exercise apps to train their physical health or their mental reaction times in a couple of games and so on and so forth.
The SAP Community Network, it encourages people through points and badges and missions to do certain tasks, be helpful, help each other. Another example is LinkedIn. LinkedIn, the professional network, encourages people to share more information than they otherwise would by showing little progress bar of how well they're doing, by showing how many people have looked at your profile. That means you must be important the more people have looked at you, and so on.
Well, a very good example in SAP is the G-learning environment. G-learning actually is a new approach to blended learning courses that somehow tries to incorporate game mechanics to make a very dull activity, which is like watching 50, 60 hours of video tutorials like you would do in a massive online course. Make it more fun, actually, and make it more engaging. How is the solution doing it? It makes, for example, it somehow get rid of the boundaries for sitting alone in front of your computer and watching videos, but you can see all the other participants, even though they might be distributed across the globe, but you can see them on which lectures they are currently working on. You can interact with them. You will find, of course, a leaderboard, some progress mechanics towards the overall learning scope, and all those mechanics that somehow, in principle, that is referred to as ambient society. And G-learning does a pretty good job to create such an ambient society, even though everyone, of course, still sits in front of his or her own desk.
What is the secret about G-learning success?
Well, what is crucial in a gamification project in education is that on the one hand you foster competition and challenge with points, badges, leaderboards, which is fun to see in a different way as usual with our lines and bubbles and blinking cities. But then the success is really founded on the fact that we reward teams. Teams get much more points than individuals because team members motivate the others to stay focused day by day and return each day to G-learning. Then the fact that they see their progression live is also important, visualized firstly in the lines and bubbles, but also with bars indicating the chapters they have already visited and the blinking lights of cities. From participants' view, it's also important to understand the fact that they start with a practical phase on day one, because they have to think about the app they are going to develop from the beginning. The best moment for the teams then is the day when they present their app in front of the peers.
We decided to implement an indoor navigation application.
The acknowledgement they get, the voting by the peers and the good words from the experts and the jury. The moment of pride is so deep that they don't really understand what gamification mechanics we introduced already to help getting them in that mood in the end of the training. But that is perfectly okay, because it's our job to do what is needed to make them happy while learning. If they go out happy, they will retain much longer what they have learned in G-learning, and they might work with new companions in the future they did not know before G-learning. For SAP, this way of learning while having fun and being challenged in open training, where every individual can learn according to his and her needs and giving them the autonomy to decide on following either our suggestions or just go in their own pace, it's what helps to retain knowledge. 80% of our learners in G-learning stay until the end. If you compare that to MOOC sessions, ours is not a real MOOC session, but if you compare it, where at the end a maximum of 20% remain, gamification can be a true success. So go ahead, try it out. It's not that hard to motivate your colleagues.